last time. You did
I
not.
did.
But you did. Did you send it out to people?
No, I don't think I did. I think it's still sitting on the computer somewhere. Sometimes I get lazy and sometimes I forget.
Would you like to send it out?
But I do try, I will. Sometimes I just forget about things. Okay, so I'm gonna be right back.
He says that now, but we know.
Okay, I'm back. So, this is a great way to get a reaction from someone and not have a critique associated with it, right? Which is a very different way of listening. When we listen and we're not critiquing, we're really, really listening to someone's story. We're not picking up a pencil and saying, how will I make this better? How can I help these people? We're absorbing it for what it is. So it's a very different audience, even from people who normally critique. It's a very different way of listening to a story. So if it's okay, I'm just going to arbitrarily pick people based on the order that they appear on my screen. I have, as far as I know, I had 7 readers. If I'm wrong and you wanted to read, please tell me now. I had Jim Sassaman, Dorian, Leslie, Chris, Jane, myself, and Martha.
We lost Dorian.
She's going to come back.
Come back, Sharon.
Sharon Esterly's trying to get in too.
Okay, I've got Jeffrey.
There's Kathleen.
And Dorian is back.
Oh, must have been a cloud of people up there.
I think the alarm's on it. Okay, so just to repeat.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry.
You're still echoing.
What would that be?
It would be that you have 2 instances of Zoom open for some reason.
How would I do this? Yeah, I'm asking my son.
Okay.
He says I close everything up here. Wait, that one is. Close that one.
Gary, Sharon Esterly is trying to get in also.
I'm not seeing the name.
Over here.
The name hasn't yet popped up into my
Okay.
Oh, no, we're still in it.
into the waiting room.
Oh, I
Can
am
you
here.
hear them? Just wait.
I can hear him.
I know.
So I'm looking for her. The waiting room usually.
Dorian's there.
Where do I see you?
And where? So we're here. This one? Which one did you say?
Yeah, but I hear his voice. It says he's here. If I open the Zoom, I should see him.
Yeah.
Now here.
Here we are. All right.
Can you hear me?
I hear you in an echoey fashion.
An echoey fashion.
I'm in an echo.
You got me. I haven't with this at all.
Do you do Zoom at all?
Not really.
Dorian, let me ask you one more question. Has your computer been on for a while?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
I hate to tell you this, but the best thing may be to reboot.
Yeah.
I've had this happen once or twice.
I mean, this computer hasn't been rebooted at all.
I don't know. I have no idea how long that will take.
Yeah, that's the only problem about it. Still don't see Sharon. If anyone can text Sharon, I still can't see her in the waiting room.
Okay.
Waiting room
try.
for the meeting.
Is there any I can? No, I don't have a microphone, so I can't use it.
Whether this keeps going, I don't understand where this is here.
He shouldn't even be there. He's here.
Let's see.
Where is
I have
there?
Chris Stack, who's entering now.
And so we have this one thing.
Hey, Jeffrey, how are you?
Isn't
Hey, Leslie. Thank you for sharing this.
Oh, sure. Thanks for coming.
I don't know. Is there's something else to do?
We're having some technical difficulties. That's why we're starting a little late.
So what I'm going to do is, Dorian, I'm going to try and start. I'm not sure how this is going to work with you being able to read because people aren't going to be able to understand well what you're doing.
So what do I do with this?
And Gary, was Jim Sasserman coming? Because he was trying to get in. He was making comments in the meetup.
See, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, let me put a comment in the meetup for him.
Okay. If you can send him your invitation,
Yes.
because maybe he's going to the wrong place.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what I can do.
So I mean, maybe that's up and loud.
I think it was all the way down there.
I don't know. I mean, this is one of the things.
I
that
don't
could
know.
Be,
I don't know what
fixed.
to, I don't know.
When you guys, Dorian, unmute yourself right now while you're trying to fix that problem.
No, I'm.
Yeah, they're just not going to be able to figure it out because they don't hear the echo.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
if
But
they-
we're gonna have to move on. So I'm going to give, if Leslie has contacted Jim, I'm going to give him a minute or two, and then we're going to start. This is always the challenge of technology, right?
This is a shakedown cruise where you're on the learning curve.
And I've had that happen. What's happened to her has happened to me, and I couldn't explain it. I just had to reboot the whole computer.
I hear you.
Sometimes if you have the wrong settings in the microphone, it'll screw it up. Okay, so not sure why Jim is not here, but everyone else is able to. I'm guessing maybe he went to the wrong link. But why don't we start? So I'm just kind of picking arbitrarily. Leslie, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Let me. Which is great because I just pushed enter, and we'll see. We'll see if Jim comes in.
Yes.
I gave him all the meeting information on the meetup,
Okay.
so we'll see. And wait, he's coming back.
Welcome back.
Okay.
Is Walter going to be here?
That I don't know. Okay, Dorian's back.
All right.
Faster than Jim.
No. Well, we'll see. We'll see if Jim comes in. Maybe he's not checking the emails. Maybe he's not checking the updates. So.
Okay. Before you start, Leslie, Dorian, you want to say something to us? You have to unmute first.
Can you hear this?
That sounds a lot better, actually.
Say a little more.
Can you hear it now?
Perfect.
Yeah, I think we're better.
Is it better here?
You still have something going on, but it's better. But there's something still going on there.
But I think it'll work, won't it?
We'll find out. So, but I'm going to ask everyone to mute while the speaker is speaking. So if you will all mute yourselves, sounds like an Archie Bunker thing. Except for Leslie. Will you start us off, Leslie?
Sure. Okay. The color of being broken. They're always brand new at first, full of possibilities and hope in what could be. The Crayola 64 box with every hue of her dreams, soldiers standing tall awaiting orders. Their glistening cylinders held within each color's unblemished paper, perfectly shaped with their pointed tips, lined up in groups of 16 in 4 rows. She's chosen the perfect color. She smells the wax, feels the slippery paper between her fingers. A brand new page with an outline of a bouquet of 5 balloons stares at her, waiting. She imagines how beautiful the picture will be once she's added the colors. Where will she hang it? She holds the crayon firmly in her fingers, tracing the lines to make them darker, flipping the cylinder around to lightly shade in the area within the dark lines. It is perfection. What could go wrong? She's colored in 2 of the 5 balloons when suddenly her hand slips and a streak of color goes outside of the lines. It's ruined. She tries to smudge it out, but it's there, staring her in the face. Failure. Why bother going on? She thinks that maybe she can fix it later if she turns her attention to the next balloon. The reminder of that one errant line makes her bear down harder, and she hears the high-pitched snap and feels her hand buckle towards the paper. The breath goes out of her as she sees the tip of the crayon separated on the paper, and then, at the larger stub still in her hand, the paper ripped in between the two parts. Peeling away the paper on the longest piece, she places it in the hold where the crayon sharpener is, turning and turning until the end is a semblance of what it once was, perfect no longer, flawed. Holding on to the shadow of the crayon, she begins again, outlining the edges, shading in the larger spaces within. The crayon's color is still useful, beautiful, transformative, even with the scars from the trauma of its short life that makes its outer shell look different than all of the rest in the box. This crayon lives on to create beauty. But because of what it went through, it is now shorter than the others, but less likely to break again. The strength behind its history brings clarity to the beauty inside. Careful with the life that it has been given, knowing that in one snap, it can all go away. She and the crayon, together, have created something beautiful. She places the crayon back in its space. It stands wobbly next to the perfect soldiers waiting their turn, left safely in the box. She sighs softly and smiles as she lifts herself from her chair, positioning one and then the other aluminum forearm crutch between her wrist and her elbow, and moves slowly towards the wall. Her picture of beautiful balloons with a perfect flaw tucked under her arm.
You can all, if you want to clap, you can all put on your microphones momentarily and clap for her. Very, very nice.
Thank you.
Martha, will you do us the honor of being second?
You have to unmute.
You have to unmute first.
Unmute, I will unmute.
Yeah.
I wrote 3 poems, and anyway, good evening. I have 3 poems. The first poem, the title is I Am. I am. I am gives me the right to be, but first I must proclaim it. I am. I am a writer. I do computers. I garden. I am. It gives me freedom. People say, she is. And whatever I do proclaim myself to be, I am. It is in my world, and because I am a writer, I embrace the writer's kind and surround myself with pads and pencils and books and a writer's turn of mind. And when I do computers, people expect me to know software and cables and memory. I am, you see. But once I had not proclaimed myself, and I was not, but a shadow of others and not me. Others somehow always knew who they were. They had worlds and I had envy. Wishing to join them, trying to please, I perjured myself with deepest unease. It is wrong to appease. I know that now, for once deeply distraught with the world gone askew, in the smallest of voice I said, I am, too. You are, they all cried, oh, well, it must be. What did you say it was? What was it you chose? Oh, a writer, you see, we see. You're one of those. In that instant of light, I saw what I'd done. By accident had stumbled on treasures I'd won. Mysterious places, heroes and schemes, fiction and facts and humanity's dreams. My simple I am had opened a world. I said it again, and again I was heard. And the day it was repeated and came back to me, I became a reality. So I get what I want, like a writer should, bookstores and novels and plots understood, but not the stars, a recent discovery, magical visions with ancient history, Celestial planes with today's modern spin, novas, giants, great solar wind. Oh, to have this world too, to have the PhD, or at least the knowledge of vast galaxies. But now I remember one small little voice, perhaps once again, I can dare make a choice. I proclaim it now, trembling though be, I do astronomy. That was poem number 1. Thank you. Poem number 2 is called Party Girl. She smiled so prettily, filling the room, her essence, her laughter lifting the gloom. Men's eyes snapped attention with breathless sighs at her radiance, waistline, and smooth flowing thighs. The women bustled, aware of their gaze that stretched past themselves, attending her ways. Arched back, high noses jostling loud, each rival a force, assuming a crowd of conspirators aimed at disarming this upstart, this no-name, this nothing, this charming. Pushing, demanding, flouncing a pout, pulling his eyes back to this world about, which they claimed he belonged, not to mystical visions, a radiant spot where woman meant peace, comfort, a delicate rose, but rather to them, the women they chose. Reluctantly drawn back in such a brief time, cacophony of voices resumed on a dime. All smiles apparent, conversations renewed, nothing untoward could be so construed. But still with the men, the wisp of the thought, the pleasure, the thrill the vision had brought. And all through the evening, all through the room, the men slid their gazes, on occasion, to swoon. That was number 2. The last one is called On Resolutions. Eternal hope of a better life is measured on New Year's Day. Lofty dreams for which we long become oneself's most selfless song. To be God's child on earth, our purpose so devised, strong in body and spirit, all talents realized. Truly worthy goals announced, oh, for such a prize. Ecstatic the beginning, yet each new passing day chips at resolution, chips to dissolution, wanes our resolution. Dreams slip and vanish in silence gone astray. Dashed our grand solution, our hopes, our better way. Downcast, downbeaten, downhearted with such a deep dismay. Why me, the soul cries out, why me to fail this way? In silence and submission, the heart hides from the fray. Until one spring-filled morning, as wisps of wind do play, and clouds gently dance and gentle flowers sway, a tender thought surmises on the hope of New Year's Day. Each day is a new beginning, not just on that first day, and journeys of the longest quest begin the same old way. Divide and conquer bit by bit, just follow Roman laws. A step, and then a step. To effect, they are the cause. I have a resolution. This time I'll get it done. In the quiet of each day, small tasks from new to oldest son. Next year, I'll tell you how I did, how the quest was won. But for now, I'll simply ask, salad, anyone? The end. Thank you.
Awesome.
Nicely done, Martha.
Thank you, thank you.
Nicely done.
Very fun. I love the ending.
It was a surprise, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has that resolution. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Jim, we got you in, didn't we?
Yeah, am I broadcasting?
You're broadcasting, and I think you should be next.
Okay, I got to turn my reading light on if that's all right.
It's the reading light, it's the spotlight.
Spotlight. Okay, this is from Dempsey's Diner. Last time we were introduced to the small town gangster Fatty. Now we're introduced to his twin brother, also a gangster, Rocky. The scene is called Corner Pocket. Now I'm taking a powder from Villanova, pulling into the red carriage parking lot, extinguishing a J, listening to Count Basie, and minding my own business. Once inside, I cut through the antechamber and the barroom proper, where I spot Helen the Hog in a booth with the sleazettes doing her Abbess thing by telling them just how she expects them to be working for the Yankee dollar. Potts Hill Polly sees me, puckers her lips, and winks at me as I make my way through the bar room where I stand at the edge and check out the pool room. The red carriage has 3 pool tables diagonally spread across the floor. And at first I'm thinking that the table closest to me is not in use, but then I notice some balls scattered about along with the cue stick placed diagonally across. Then out of the men's room comes the solo player who picks up his stick and studies the lay of the table. If it weren't for the brown leather jacket I've never seen Fatty wearing, I'd say this was Fatty. But I know better. This is his twin brother, Rocky. There's no better time than this, and so I approach the table and ask, Rock, you just taking practice shots, or would you like to shoot a game? Grab a stick, my man. You want a break? You break. My break yields me nothing, but my only regret is that it did not come off with a respectable crack. Rocky chalks up and paces around the table as he sizes up the spread. Rocky, I'm Slim. I'm the dude. I know who you are, man. Then you know I've already met with your brother. Rocky's focused on a shot, and as he sets his aim, he says, hey. And as he winds up his shooting arm, he says, hey, I mean like A. And then he executes the shot. Rocky's now stripes with 2 in the pocket. As he re-chalks up, he says, he's my brother. He's heavy. As Rocky lines up his next shot, I can't help but notice the size of the diamond on his left-hand ring, bigger than the Ritz. Then without prompting, Rocky decides to open up about himself with, I'm a strange cat. But since I'm not in the business of asking a gangster why he considers himself to be strange, I say nothing. Rocky then adds, I just got out of a 3-year stretch. Get a chance inside to practice up on your game? Not this game. I played chess. Whole time I was in the joint. Chess. That's my game. Don't get me wrong, my man. I shoot pool to relax, but I played chess to improve my thinking. As I'm taking all this in, Rocky adds, I hear you're a college man. Where do you go to school? Villanova. Villanova, Rocky says with a smile. Know that place well. I drive through it all the time. Rocky must know I can't figure out what a gangster's doing on the Villanova campus because he goes on to explain, I love that road, man. Route 320. I take it all the time. Know why? Cops can't pull you over. There's no shoulder to that road. My kind of road. Yeah, I go past the law school, nursing school. I see them 2 church steeples. I get a few solids in, but it's inevitably Rocky's game. And after he shoots the 8-ball in the corner pocket, he says, I may not be as literate as you, but I read me some books, and he mentions the electric Kool-Aid acid test. Rocky hangs up his stick and points to the first empty booth on the barroom side, and we continue to talk. After a while, I noticed Rocky noticing that I was drinking somebody's glass of wine that had been left here at this table. Then I looked down at the ashtray, and I realized I've also been chain smoking. Rocky says, I sell speed. What about you? You do hard drugs? Just pot, hash, oil. You're stoned now, ain't you? Before I could answer, Rocky gets up and waves me over to the bar where he orders 2 hot dogs. After we finish them, he says, let's take a ride. Now, Rocky and I enter the antechamber on our way out. No one here except 3 black dudes at the cigarette machine. Never seen these guys before. All 3 about my age. All I know about them is that at least one of them smoked cigarettes. They don't say a word. Whatever conversation they were having ended the second Rocky stepped into the antechamber. Rocky gets as far as the front door. But instead of pushing it open, he pivots around, stomps his left foot, and yells, Spade! 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 In the immediate aftermath of this utterance, nobody moves. Rocky maintains his stance. I'm looking at the 3 black dudes, and they are either looking down at the floor or shooting quick glances at one another or even looking over at me. I maintain my eye contact with them and only them. Nobody says anything until Rocky says, let's go, and heads out the front door. I follow, but not before maintaining one long last look at these 3 dudes who are now all directly looking at me. I think for a second that maybe I should shoot them the peace sign, but nobody does that anymore. Only Richard Nixon. So I hold my gaze long enough so that they get the idea that I may be walking out of here with Rocky, but that's about it. As soon as I get outside, Rocky turns around and points across the street to Dempsey's parking lot, where I see his white Riviera. As we pull out of Dempsey's, Rocky picks up on how quiet I am now, and he turns to me when we're out on High Street and he says, "Relax, man. I know you ain't no cop." That's it.
When Jim reads, it reminds me that we all come from such different backgrounds. And, you know, if we met each other on the street, we might never realize the talent that lies behind the person we're walking next to. Jim, if I remember correctly, you're a teacher. You teach law, and you're also a lawyer, correct?
I'm not a lawyer.
You're not a lawyer. I'm
No,
sorry.
I don't like lawyers.
Okay, I'm
My
sorry.
business is taking their business away from them, and they don't like
Okay.
me. It's a mutual hate society.
There you go. But it is amazing to me when you look at the backgrounds of everyone and what they do for their day job, right? And then what they do when they write. Such contrast and such interest. It's like peeling back the onion, right? And finding the next layer of someone you would never expect. Jane, will you grace us MB number 4, please?
Sure. Before I start, I just want to say that Sharon Esterly has told me that she can't get in and she's going to stop. She was supposed to read tonight, but she just can't figure out how to get in. Vince Dowd also is trying to get in and can't get in. So you're mute.
Do they have the numbers and the number and the code?
Yeah, but that's okay. I just wanted to let you know. It's fine. I think they're done.
I'm
Anyway,
not sure why they're having problems.
What's that?
I can't imagine why they're having problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the technology, you know.
Huh.
I don't know either.
Okay.
Anyway, all right, I'm going to be reading an excerpt from my memoir. It's called Losing a Vital Organ.
Mm.
You sure you're going to be all right there, Jane Ellen, heading back up to school so late at night? I don't know what the big hurry is. Dad stood in the darkened living room in just his white jockey briefs, questioning me at the end of my Christmas break. No, I'll be fine. I'd rather get there tonight, hiding the fact that I'd met a guy at school I was anxious to see. I walked out the kitchen door and into the little car that was idling violently in the dark. 10 minutes later in Harriman, as I said to the gas station attendant, $2 worth of regular, please, I was having second thoughts. While he washed the windshield and checked the oil in the glare of the gas station lights, I considered the state of my car. I'd had a few troubles recently, and now suddenly, in the quiet of the night, an unfamiliar metallic sound had come to my attention. I wondered in passing if it was important, but by the time I was going 60 miles per hour, the dragging metal sound fit in with the general rattle of the car anyway. At least I thought so. I'd traveled the dusty back roads of Arden for most of my life in Dad's various beat-up station wagons, pickup trucks, tractors, plows, and hay wagons. And unfortunately, this had given me no common sense whatsoever for what a healthy vehicle should sound like on a fine macadam thoroughfare like the New York State Thruway. So how was I to know that the rough noises coming from my vehicle were preamble to losing a vital organ? I gripped the wheel tightly as I forged through the night. 40 minutes after leaving home, I successfully limped to the first exit where the car chugged to a stop. With a clattering shudder just as I arrived at the toll plaza. Even though I knew something bad had happened, I gave a sigh of relief for having made it through the darkness to light at last. I opened the car door, leaned over, and looked directly under the body. There, set on the road beneath me, rusted but peaceful, was a large metal chunk of my car. An under part of my car had fallen off. The toll attendant directed me to a wall that I leaned against while holding the phone close, relieved and frightened to hear Dad's voice on the other end. What the hell are you waking me up in the middle of the night for, Jane Ellen? Something wrong? Yeah, my car broke down. What? He squawked. A silence followed while he seemed to consider the bad news. Where are you? This was key information, since at some point I knew it would be reasonable for him to refuse to help me. I hoped that one exit away, practically still home, was close enough for him to feel obligated. I had already considered that if I'd made it more than halfway to Albany before breaking down, I would have reasonably been out of his territory and would have had to find someone north of the halfway point to call. I'm right at the Newburgh exit. Jesus Christ, you only made it to Newburgh? Christ Jesus, what's wrong? Something came off from under the car. Ah, pshaw, well, what do you want me to do about it? Well, I was wondering if you could come get me. And what? And bring me home, I whispered. There was a silence. I waited hopefully while he pondered what I imagined was the inconvenience of having to pick up his lame daughter, who couldn't drive her damn car to school without needing someone to help her. Asking Dad for help was like asking the fox to count the chickens. In truth, he couldn't wait. Dad loved finding ways to make things worse while acting helpful. Problem is, he strove to live his life with the help of no one, and so he expected me to be entirely independent too. You would think by then I would have learned to stop asking, but based on everything I'd heard, which I had personally confirmed as an eyewitness at college, I was so sure fathers wanted to help daughters. I could see now what I couldn't then, that Dad's mixed messages were the cause of my constant confusion. He acted as if he didn't want to help and put on a big show of how bothersome I was, but he was still on the phone. It was impossible to tell how Dad really felt, ever. I gotta get some rope and chains and I'll be up there in a while to haul you home. Next afternoon, he took on mechanic duty assessing the damage, then spent hours of expletives strapping the gas tank back onto the underside of the car. As he crawled out, tools in hand, he announced, "There you are, Jane Ellen. Shouldn't fall off again until you get at least halfway there." I pulled away from the front door in Arden and waved to my smiling parents as my little green car burped and lurched and spit down the snowy lane, a spare can of gas on the floor in the back. My father, who was delighted at his success in finally getting it to go at all, shouted after me, "And don't bother to call home if it breaks again." I pretended these words were not as harsh as they seemed, that he was probably kidding. But the very moment I was out of sight, a lump rose in my throat and tears burst from my eyes. Hot eruptions boiled on my skin, and I absentmindedly scratched at the hives under my shirt. Needing my parents to help me out had been trying. I would not call home if it broke down again. This time, I was heading to school and not looking back. Thanks.
Awesome. Dorian, shall we try you and see if we can get you through without the echo?
How is it now?
Great. Let's try it and see what happens. You still have an echo to it.
I do an echo here. Yeah, I don't hear an echo here.
Yeah, actually, it isn't going to work because it's really bad.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Okay.
There's some setting. You can't log in with your phone, can you?
Call it. Do what? My phone?
Zoom. Well, if you have the app on your phone, you can load into your phone without going through the computer. Something about the computer, you're sending two signals. You actually have two microphones hooked up.
Can she use just the speakers in her computer and not the headset?
All right, let me try. Hang on.
Well, she tried that before.
Oh, she did. Okay.
Hang on. Okay. What I did is I took off the microphone.
This is good.
That's 100% better.
Can you hear this now?
Yes, that fixed the problem.
So somehow it's using the microphone, the separate microphone, and it's also using your computer.
Right, but you have a built-in microphone in the computer, so there's no need for a separate microphone.
Maybe I did something wrong when I put the Zoom in. Should I go ahead and try this?
Right now, you're doing it right. You sound great.
Yeah, and don't touch any controls.
Oh, God. Believe it or not, technology is not my thing. It really isn't. I needed my husband. I'll have a dream with him. Maybe he'll help me.
Okay.
All right. It's called Finders Keepers. I've been working hard to get my new house in good shape. Our grass is growing now and the plants are flourishing, except for this one place. That's 4 dead plants. The only thing that grows here is clover. My eyes narrow as I stare at the hole. Then I get a shovel. Lots of soft dirt, old pieces of root, then clay, then clunk. Rusty metal, maybe a lid. More digging until I unearth an edge. I get the crowbar and force down its flattened point, trying to pry up the top of a container. I hear the porch door slide open, and I look up as Carter walks over to me. Digging? He asks. I just stand, sweating. You're going to hurt your hands. Carter looks at the crowbar. Okay, give me a minute. He returns, putting on his heavy work gloves. The jamming of the crowbar finally breaks the rusty cover and lifts the top, showing a leather handle covered through the dirt. He hoists the object, dumping it onto the ground. A chest! I scream. It's mine! I crouch down and look at the wooden chest. The buckles are metal and wrapped around the leather straps. I slowly lift over the chest and look underneath. A key attached. My hands are shaking as I turn the key. Oh my God, a skull. I look at my husband, his eyes get wide. I lift the skull and underneath we can see pieces of bone and maybe a few coins. Let's get this inside so other people won't take it. I look all around to see if anyone is spying. He carries the chest inside the sun porch. This is going to be so much fun, I smile. I examine the coins as Carter starts putting the bones together as a puzzle. Well, I'm not sure what this is, he observes. The skull looks different than normal people, wider, and the bones are short and dense. The body is about 1 feet high. Tracy, what are you planning to do with this? This looks like real gold. It's very bright, no tarnish. You're not answering, Carter states. We should give this to the government or a museum. What? No way. This could be worth a lot of money. I take pictures on the bones and the coins, then I lock up the gold in the safe. That night, I'm just about to go to sleep when I hear something that sounds below, like a drawer, opening and closing, maybe in the kitchen. I listen carefully, but everything is quiet, just the soft sounds of Carter snoring. I must have been dreaming and go back to sleep. The next morning, when I'm waiting for my coffee, I go to the sun porch and open the chest. I walk over to the study. Look at this, I say, showing Carter. This is my favorite emerald necklace. Did you put this in the chest? In the chest? You're joking, right? He laughs. Why would I do it? What about your car keys? What about them? Have you found them today? Not yet. I put out my other hand, holding out Carter's keys. Where did you find them? Guess. He laughs as he puts the keys in his pocket. Tracy, now you're definitely doing this. It's funny. Well, I thought I heard a noise last night. If it's not you, then who was it? And I thought I put the bones in the chest, but they're not here now. This is your project. Well, at least the gold coins are still here, I say as I display my treasure. Carter picks up one of the gold coins, examining it. That's mine. I grab it from his hand. I stop. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I said that. I take the coin and put it into my pocket. Can I look at that? He asks. I thought I gave it to you. You just put it in your pocket. I look into the pocket and take out the coin. I give it to Carter, but I stay nearby waiting to get the coin back again. This afternoon, as I bring a shovel to cover the hole, I notice several small footprints all around the hole. I show Carter what I found. He looks unconcerned. This is probably one of the neighborhood kids. We need to close that up before the children get hurt. That night, everything is quiet. The next morning, I wake up and I realize I don't have my wedding ring. I run down the stairs, then run back to my bedroom. Carter, I lost my wedding ring and the chest is gone. Help me find it. He opens his eyes as he sits up in the bed. Shower, clothes, and breakfast first. Eventually, Carter finds it. There at the corner of the cellar, the sump pump was pushed to the side. The dirt has been moved and partially covered by the chest. I slowly open the chest. Necklaces, a pocket watch, one of the gold coins, and my wedding ring. He looks at the cash. How could it get one of the gold coins? Didn't you lock them all up? How did my ring get there? I never take it off. What are we going to do? It's your project. Well, I had kept a large trap that I caught a groundhog. I can use the gold coins as the bait. In the morning when I check, the bones and the coins are laying there inside the trap. Now everything is back in the chest, locked tight. Can I keep just one coin? No, he insists, not one. Carter calls the Museum of the University of Pennsylvania. I have a donation. Who should I speak to about this? Working with the registrar, we mail the required papers. 3 weeks later, we are able to bring the donation to the museum. We smile, feeling relaxed and brighter than it had in weeks. Many months later, in the night, the curator is the first who opens the chest. Oh my, look at the bones and the gold. He picks up a coin and puts it in his pocket. That's it.
So Dorian, do I remember correctly, since I apparently don't remember things correctly, do I remember correctly that the first time you came to the group, you said, I'm not the writer, I'm with him?
Yeah, I'm not a writer.
Yeah, not at all, no.
That's a lie.
You are so a writer, and that's just one of those amusing things, right? Because I remember you saying, I'm just with him, I'm not a writer. And yet you are.
I just want people if they like it, if they like stories.
You're a storyteller, and that makes you a writer, whether you are recording it, by voice, or whether you are putting it in words on paper or on a computer screen, you are a writer. Chris, you and I are last. I want to give you the choice of either going last or next. What would you prefer?
Okay. All right. I'll go. You know what? I'll go last.
Okay.
I'll back clean up.
Okay. Very good. My story is called Last Kiss, and Last Kiss is kind of a bookend to another story I wrote. It has no relation to it, but I had written First Kiss. If the secret is known by the person it's meant to be kept from, is it still a secret? That's what I'm wondering as I look at this girl I used to date, who I cared about, who was my love. Good to see you, she greets me, but we both know the words aren't entirely true. Breakups are never easy, especially when one of you is still in love. There's usually guilt involved on the part of the other person. Usually. Good to see you too. Good to see you. I'm sorry, I got lost. Usually. Good to see you too, I offer back. At least I know the feeling behind the words when I say them. If it wasn't for the scowl on her face, I might even believe she meant hers. We sit, she with her coffee and me with my soda. The high top table literally and figuratively separates us, although the secret would have effectively done that by itself. One person would refer to it as straying and justify it for a variety of reasons. The other would call it cheating with no reasonable explanation possible. The same act, viewed so differently by two people closest to it. Both right, both wrong. We look at each other, two people who talked about everything. Well, almost everything. Can't find the words to open a conversation. The air is heavy, and we sip at our drinks. I'm sorry, I offer, and outline a list of regrets in my actions and behaviors. She listens and nods every so often. It seems less about agreement and more in reaction to thoughts of her head. I'm sorry too, and she takes the opportunity to list a few of hers. We're both being honest as far as they go, but it doesn't represent the true problem that existed. But the secret remains unspoken, hidden behind the words we do speak and those we don't. And then there's silence again. That silence makes it clear that the end of our conversation has arrived. There won't be any others, despite any words left unspoken. I take a deep breath. A kiss goodbye, I ask? It's an honest question for which I honestly can't guess the answer she'll return. Okay. There's no change in her facial expression to indicate what okay really means. She stands stiffly and I move around the high top table to her. She visibly shifts her weight from one leg to the other. The kiss has nothing in common with the kisses we shared before. No hands behind the head or on the small of the back. There's no actual body connection as we both lean forward as if to specifically avoid that very thing. She doesn't close her eyes, which I realize when I open mine mid-kiss. Her lips are unmoving, soft pillows that provide no comfort or warmth and hide emotion, if any exists. I pull my face back and look into hers. Although physically here, she's someplace else. Maybe it's with her new someone, or she's in the past. It's anywhere but here. A definitive end, an answer to the question, is there any residual spark left? The closure I'd hoped for, one way or another. I gathered my folder and held the door for her. As she walks through it, she thanks me, but for what I'm not certain. Being a gentleman and holding the door, the kiss, meeting her in the first place, not making a scene. I'm in my car and just settling in as her car already drives past. I wave, but I can see she's not looking in my direction. She's looking straight ahead, beyond where I am, beyond where I've been. I buckle the seatbelt and then look at the passenger seat. Lilies, her favorites. 2 bunches. They lay there. So smart to have not brought them in with me. I reach over to grab them by the stems and swing my arm across my chest to drop them out the driver's side window. The wetness of the growing spots through my shirt aren't from the stems. It's 10 minutes before I can see clearly enough to put the car into gear and drive home. Okay, Chris, back cleanup.
Okay. So bear with me because I'm trying to also record it on my phone and I have this jury rig set up comprised of a selfie stick, my phone stuck in a wine bottle. Okay. All right, so this is called a stiff prop. And I think I read this in January, but I've revised it a little bit. So here we go. Doug, we've been here 20 minutes and Cliff hasn't moved. Personally, I think he's dead. Have you seen him move? No, me neither. And to be honest, he looks a little blue, but that could be the lighting in here. I told him graveyard scenes need moonlight, not blue light. Maybe he took my suggestion, and that's why he was on the ladder. What? Yeah, I suppose that could have happened. He either died and then fell, or he fell and then died. So it could be natural causes or unnatural causes. I hope it was the first one, because cracking your head on a tombstone would hurt like hell. Yeah, you can say that again. Completely ironic that the king of haunted houses dies in his own haunted house. Too bad it's before the haunting season has even started. But we need to report it. Doug, are you listening to me? Doug, Cliff is dead. We have to do something. Wait, did you just say we could use Cliff as a prop? Are you out of your fucking mind? Dude, you have smoked way too much pot this morning. Is sucking on a bong always the first thing you do when you get up? We are not using Cliff as a prop. Look, I know Halloween is around the corner and we're a little short on actors, but do you see Cliff getting up for an Academy Award performance? I don't. The man's not even cold yet, and this is how you react? What are you thinking? You want to dress him up as Dracula and have him coming out of the coffin here in the graveyard. Cliff is dead, but he's not going to be undead. That would be awesome, but I don't think it's going to happen. Besides, how are you going to stand him up? I suppose he'll be stiff in a few hours, but still. No way, dude. This is too over the top. We need to report this to the authorities. You just can't keep dead bodies for your own ghoulish purposes whenever you feel like it, collecting them like Hummel figures. A Hummel figure, you know, those little fucking porcelain people. My mom's got a million of those things all over the place. Yeah, it is sort of weird. Actually, I find it a little eerie. Well, whatever. Cliff is not some dead Hummel. He's dead as in D-E-A-D, dead, like dearly departed. Cashed in his chips, kicked the bucket. He's pegged the fuck out, man, and he's not coming back. I am calm. Yeah, I'll take a toke on that. You've been bogarting it anyway. Look, even if Cliff's favorite character was Dracula, I don't remember him mentioning anything about being Dracula. Yeah, he said that to me too. But just because he said he always wanted to haunt his own haunted house doesn't mean he was serious. He was joking. Come on, Doug. You know Cliff, always full of bullshit, always looking for the drama or the next angle. Yeah, that's true. Showmanship was in his blood, but he wasn't serious. Besides, if he was serious and we did prop him up, let's say in that last room with all those mirrors, which, by the way, I think is a little better idea than your graveyard idea. That's totally fucking illegal. We'd go straight to the big house if anybody found out. Doug, do you want to go to jail? I don't want to go to jail. My parents would freak if they found out I was in jail. Nope. I would ask for my own cell. We're not doing this. How would we even pull it off? The other actors would find out. And what about Tori? She's his wife, for Christ's sake. Dude, she's going to ask questions no matter how far away she lives. They talk all the time. Well, at least they used to. Obviously, that's over now. What? Cliff told you he was going to divorce Tori for that chick who plays the chainsaw murderer. Wow, he didn't tell me that. That chick is smoking hot, even when she's covered in fake blood. She might go for this. But what about the others? Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, you crossing bridges. I don't know, man. How do you plan on preserving him? A few days in that coffin, and he'll start to smell way beyond the BO he usually had. Did you think about that? What's that, Frank? Frank the Undertaker? What about him? Yeah, I've had a couple of beers with him, but I don't know him all that well. Nope. I am not going to ask Frank to embalm Cliff. That's a big ask. That's a huge ask. Besides, we'd have to get Frank to come here. I don't even know if that sort of thing can be done on site. We're not talking DoorDash or Uber embalming. Yeah, we'd probably have to pay Frank off, but you know we can't afford that. Frank's daughter Deb did have a thing for me last summer. What's that got to do with anything? Nope, we did not. We did not. Let me repeat, we did not get it on in a hearse. That's a rumor. Okay, all right, I admit it. We did do it in a hearse. But that's between you and me. In fact, she still has a thing for me. I heard she was asking about me down at Jasper's. She probably knows how to embalm someone. Still, embalming a dead man just so we can use him for a Halloween prop seems a little too much. I don't know. It kind of makes us look a little like sick lunatics, if you know what I mean. It's workable, but it's fucking crazy. The king of haunted houses, dead and haunting his own haunted house. How poetic is that? When you think about it, actually think about it, I think Cliff would approve. I think he'd say, boys, the show must go on. No, I'm taking his feet, you get his shoulders. We should get him in the coffin and test out some poses before he starts to stiffen up. I'll text Deb. On the count of 3. 1, 2. Thank you.
Very good.
A very good one to end on. So
Very good.
I don't necessarily have all of your emails. I probably should, but you can never assume that I do. So in order for me to get you copies of your piece, at the very least, if you can send me your email to Gary Zenker at AOL.com, then I'll be able to get you at least a link, because I'm not always easily able to do that through Meetup. You know, not bad. We had a couple of people try and get in, they couldn't get in, but they weren't in the waiting room. So I'm not sure if it's a mistake that they clicked on the wrong link. But did all of you have a fairly easy time getting in today?
All is good.
It seems like there's 2 different places. There's one at the meeting group that has one link. And then there's the one that you sent, Gary, that's got a separate link. So why are they different links?
I know that the way I enter it is I enter it into the system. It says, give us because you have to RSVP through Meetup to get it. If I send it separately, you don't have to RSVP.
Okay.
But it only reveals the password, and it's a security precaution on the part of Meetup so that people who don't RSVP, let's see, this is going to be a double negative, but only people who RSVP get the password and get the connection in. And it's a security issue. So I'm not sure there's any other way around that.
In all the Zooms that I've been in, I've never had that where you had to confirm. That was something new. I just sort of waited till 20 after 6, clicked on that link thinking that was the link that was going to take me to the Zoom meeting. And then it came up with, okay, you need to put in your email and something. And then I got that wonderful confirmation email that had the number and the code. But I've never had to do that. And even when I did that, it wasn't until quarter of, I think, before I could get in.
So the other thing is Walter went through some presets with me and changed the presets. Is what you're talking about, was that part of Meetup or was that part of Zoom, Leslie?
I thought it was a Meetup. It was a Meetup email.
Right. So if it's Meetup, Meetup is still going to force you to do that. Zoom will not force you to do that once you have the link. But Meetup still won't reveal everything to you until you RSVP yes.
Well, I think, Gary, when Walter changed the settings, I don't know if you changed it for this meeting or not, because remember, we changed it to allow people to get into the meeting without the host being there.
That's right.
And that didn't work this time. I can tell you that my experience, I logged into Meetup, clicked on the link in Meetup, and it did the same thing it did last meeting, which was ask me for all my information and wanted me to make a Zoom account. Now I made it because I had it, you know, I had the same problem last time and I had to make an account to access the Zoom meeting. So all my info was already filled in and all I had to do then was click on that. But I can tell you that those two instances, last meeting and this meeting, is the first time I've ever seen that pop up.
So that may be because of the defaults in Zoom.
Yeah, I don't know why that comes up. That's weird. It's,
well,
you know, it's weird. I don't know the ins and outs about it. I did not click on the email.
When we changed the defaults, Walter and Chris were helping me change the defaults. When I changed those defaults, I didn't do it for existing meetings. I only did it for all new meetings.
The new meetings. Okay, so this was
I'll go back and try and make sure that that's not a requirement going forward, because I've already got 3 or 4 Zoom meetings set up.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I'll go back and we'll see if that helps. But you're still, anytime Meetup does this, they're going to require someone to RSVP, yes.
Right. Yeah,
But
through
not-
Meetup. Through Meetup, yeah.
Right, but not require you to set up a Zoom account or verify your email through Zoom. You shouldn't have to do that. So I will go back and fix that. So that's good to know.
Yeah, well, that explains, I think going forward, we're all set. Because if you didn't change the settings for this meeting, then it, you know, it acted like the same,
yeah,
like last meeting.
Okay.
Whatever date that was. Too bad Walter's not here. I thought he was going to join us.
He's an emergency preparedness guy, so you never know.
He might be preparing an emergency. I don't know.
He may be preparing for an emergency, or he may be preparing the emergency itself.
With Walter, it has to be a structured emergency. It cannot be an off-the-hook emergency. So, but
He's
yeah.
so good at that. He's so good.
Well, thank you for setting this up again.
Okay, we will do this again. Hopefully all of you prepare new stories. I'll say it up again probably for November.
All right, good. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks a
thanks
lot
all.
for doing this, Gary.
Very interesting.
And thank you to our guests for coming. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, guests. And thanks, Gary. You know, I mean, it's anytime it's, you know, you get to read, you always learn something, right?
One day when everything gets better, we're going to do it at my gazebo because it's a beautiful place to do it. It's a beautiful place to do a reading. So one day when everyone's comfortable, we'll do it in person.
It'll
Oh,
probably
chilly.
be in the winter.
Yeah, well,
Sounds
that
great.
probably won't be the best gazebo weather, but yeah. Okay, guys, take care.
All right.
Hey,
Thanks a
thank
lot,
you.
Gary.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
see y'all later.